Hi, this is a screencast for Google Docs. So this is where we're going to learn how to do some basic things in a Google Docs on the Google Drive. So we're going to be looking at how to insert a photo as a background with text, how to manipulate a picture, and then how to insert that background picture with a text, and then how to change the background color. So in future screencasts, we'll get a little bit more detailed, but this is the basics to get you started. These are the things that students said on the survey that they wanted to know how to do. So what we're going to do is get into our Google Drive, and once you're signed in and you see your name here, you can click on this little waffle menu, and then you get to the drive this way. Now for this one, we're going to be using photos. So there's three different ways you can get photos. So the first way is to already have them in your downloads folder. You search the internet, you put them in your downloads folder, and you can retrieve them that way. You can also upload them to your actual Google Drive and pull them in the document. And then you can also search within the document. However, that's a little bit more limited search. So let's go ahead and get started. So we click create. You want to make sure that when you create a Google Doc that you are actually clicked on My Drive. If you have a folder open without realizing it, you may be creating that document in that folder. So I always make sure my highlight bar is on My Drive. Then we click create, and that's going to put us into, it's going to ask us what do we want to create. We want to create a document, and that's going to bring up the blank screen. One thing you always want to make sure you do first is title your document. So we come up here, and once we click on Untitled, then it'll bring up a box for us where we can title it. And you want to make sure that you're following your teacher's rules for titling documents, whatever it may be, either your name, test document, whatever you need to follow to make sure it's named. And then we click OK. So now we can see that our document is named. So I want to first of all change my background color, and I want to change the orientation of how my paper is. So I go to File and Setup. And from here I can change it to landscape, and then I can change the color in the background. So I'm going to go with a lighter blue. And then I can also set my margins here. So if I want them always set at 1, I can make sure it's 1 and click Set as Default. When you click Set as Default, all the changes you have here will always come up when you start a new document. You can go in and change margins anytime. So I click OK, and then I get my changes. Now I want to put a photo in as a background. So that means I want to have the photo as the background with text in front of it. So to do that, we use this drawing menu. If I wanted just a regular image, I just want to put an image in, no text on it, I could do Insert Image, and that will bring me up this box, and I can either upload it, check my Google Drive for it, or I can search within it. This is a limited search because it looks at all the sharing or copyright laws, so you're not going to get as much on here as you are if you just did a Google search and pulled in your photo. So I'm uploading, and remember this is just a regular picture. I'm not putting any text on it, and it's going to pop in. It uploads, it pops in. Now I want to maneuver it. I want to move it around. So I click on it, and you want to make sure you click Wrapped Text. That is how you can move a photo around more easily. So when it's in Wrapped Text, I can adjust it. By pulling at the corners, I can make it smaller and move it around by clicking in it when it's in Wrapped Text. If you're not in Wrapped Text, if you're in inline or break text, then it's going to be more difficult. So now let's say I decided I want to use this photo, but I want text right here. So I have to pull it in a different way. I need to go Insert, and I need to use this drawing menu. What I do in this drawing menu is I set up my photo with the text in it, and it's going to pull it into my document. So the first thing I need to do is I need my picture. So I'm going to select my image button, go get my picture again. It's going to pull it in. And this is also where I can adjust my photo look. So for example, if I want a watermark, I can go to this transparency, and I can make it lighter, darker, however I want to adjust it. And I can also recolor it, which is kind of cool if I want to look at it, if I want to use different ways. If I don't like any of that, I can just go back to no recolor. So I have it set the way I want it. There's also some other fun things you can do with, you can mask the image, so you can take these different shapes and put the image in these kinds of different shapes. So that's kind of neat. And if you want to just go back, you go reset image. You can put lines around your photo here as well. You can pick however you want to do that. Change the line color. I'm going to make it dark blue, or I can make it white. So I've got my photos set up the way I want it. Now I want a text box. I want text right here. So I'm going to pull in my text box. I'm going to put it right here because this is where I want it. And I'm going to want to start typing in here. So I need my, you click more so you get all your fonts and styles. So I know I kind of want a different kind of font here. And I want it larger. And I definitely need it white so it shows up. So I can do what I want here. So I adjust the text box in here how I want it to be. And this text box is a little different from PowerPoint, and I think also Word. Whereas when you adjust the text box in PowerPoint, it also adjusts the font of the letters. However, in this one it doesn't. So if you make your text box smaller, if you notice, the font is going to stay the same. So you want to make sure you have it set up properly in here because it's easier to manipulate and edit in this window. So once you have this set up the way you want it, then we go back up to the top here. Get rid of our More button. We got to get out of the blue box. So I continue by, I find my bar up here, I move it up so I can see this blue Save and Close button. I click that, Save and Close, and then it's going to pull it into my document. Now, like I said, I have more room here, so I want to move this around. So I click on the picture, I click on Wrapped Text so that I can move the picture where I want it to go. And there it is. So I hope you find that helpful. You want to play in the drawing menu because there's other things you can do in there. Another thing is if you want to make your text vertical, then that's also where you're going to do that, is in that drawing menu. So if I went Insert, Drawing Menu, and clicked on Text Box. So if I wanted to rotate text, I would go back into that where we're at, that Insert Drawing menu, click on the text box, make my text box, and then I can type whatever I want to be in here. And then I can start manipulating it. So I can manipulate it with this right here, with this little circle thing, so I can turn it this way, make it straighter, bring it down, make it smaller, move it in, whatever I want to do with it. I can flip it back around, or if I want it to go this way, I can make it go that way. And then by clicking on More again, I can change the alignments in it. And then when I get it the way I want it, again, I click Save and Close. And there it goes. And I can do Wrap Text because it becomes a picture at this point, and that's how I can manipulate it around my page, is making it wrap text and then moving it around like we did before. One thing to note though is if when you try to change it in here, as I said, it's like a ratio kind of thing. So if you make the text box smaller, it's going to make the font smaller. You make it bigger, it's going to make the font bigger. So I hope that answers some of your questions, and I would highly suggest you go into your Google Drive, go into a new document, and just play around with these different functions, and you'll see that it's not that much more difficult. It's just you gotta take some time to practice it. So there's the difference in those two things, in the add-ons and the extensions. So let's take a look at this real quick, and let's go back. So add-ons live in the section of the Google Drive. So for example, if you're adding them into your Google Docs, that's where it stays. So you'll see in a minute, if we pull an add-on in, let's say for a thesaurus into the Google Docs, you won't have that same thing when you go to Google Spreadsheets. So each thing has its own set of add-ons. And extensions are smaller programs that add new features to your browser. So those will actually live in the browser bar. So when you sign on to Chrome, you'll notice at the top, you'll see these little icons. So we're going to show you that right now. So if I go into, we're going to do add-ons first. So I'm in an untitled document, and it's this menu right here we see add-ons. And if you click on Get Add-ons, this is where you can find a bunch of things that you pull in that really help your writing. One thing that is really good to have in there is an add-on called Open Clip Art. So if we type in Open Clip Art, it'll pull it in for us. So there it is. We click on Free, and then we click on Accept. So we're saying that we're going to open clip art, use Open Clip Art in our documents. And once we do that, when we click on add-ons, we're going to see Open Clip Art in there. So if we go to add-ons now, we have Open Clip Art. The way it works, if we go into it, open it, search clip art, and this is where you can pull in pictures and things without having to pull them from the internet. So if you're working on something for the holidays, so you're working on Thanksgiving, and we can search, and it's going to have Thanksgiving clip art in there for us. So we can pull it in and do the same thing we learned before, wrap text so that we can move it around where we want it, make it bigger, make it smaller. And if you don't like it, we can delete it and have it go away. So that's how you add in an add-on, and your teacher may give you instructions on bringing in other add-ons and to manage them. If you want to get rid of them, you click on Manage Add-ons. It tells you what you have, and you click Manage, and you can remove it if you don't want it there anymore. So if you want to use a picture from Open Clip Art as a background, the way we do that is first you're going to open the add-on, Open Clip Art. We're going to pull in the clip art that we want to set as our background, because remember we have to pull this into the drawing menu to set it as a background. So let's search on the clip art that's there so we can find what we want. Let's say we want to use this. So it's going to pull it in, and we're going to click on it to get it highlighted. Make sure you click Wrap Text, and then we're going to cut it. So we're going to do Edit, move this for a second. We're going to do Edit, Cut. Now we're going to go into our drawing menu, Insert Drawing, and then we're going to paste it into here. So we just make sure we're double clicking in there, and then we go Actions, Paste, and there it is. And now we can change our image options, however we want to recolor it. We want to make it larger maybe because we want it to be the center of the page, and we want it as a watermark, so maybe we want to make it a background. So we can do some adjustments here, change it that way. Maybe we want to say something in front of it, so we want to say Happy Thanksgiving. So we can bring in our text menu, make this a little larger, change our color here to, let's maybe change it to yellow, and we can type Happy Thanksgiving, and that yellow doesn't show up very well, so we'll make it green. There we go. And we want to, since we don't need all the space that we said we thought we needed, we can maneuver it, set it where we want it, click Save and Close, and then it's going to bring it into our document. So it's as the watermark, as the background. And now it's one it's one picture, so it's one unit. So if we wanted to make it smaller, we can drag it at the corners, but first we want to make sure it's wrapped text, and then we can drag it around that way if we wanted to make it larger, and then start maneuvering it to where we want it centered. Okay, so hopefully you have learned a lot. Now get in there and do some practice. Hi, so this is a screencast on how to install extensions. So previously we learned about add-ons, which actually live in the actual Google Docs or spreadsheets, but extensions actually live up here on your browser bar. So theoretically, whenever you sign into any computer, you should have the same extensions because it should be attached to your username. Sometimes when you sign in, they might not always be there, but that's how it's supposed to work. So to get extensions, what you do is we have to go to the Google Chrome store. So we search on that, the Google Chrome store, and we're going to be installing an extension called SpeakIt. SpeakIt allows you to highlight text on a web page and actually listen to it. So these extensions are like little apps that live up in this browser bar right here. And your teacher will instruct you on what extensions they want you to have. So if I come down here and I need to find extensions, here it is right here. So I'm going to click on it, and I come up here and I can type in the SpeakIt that I want, and here it is right here, SpeakIt. Tired of reading? Select text you want to read and listen to. SpeakIt converts text into speech, so you no longer need to read. Well, you're going to still need to read, but this is really good for, it's just helpful if it's a long piece of text and you're a better listener than you are a reader, or you do both. And then what it does is it pops it up here, and so now you see it. This little icon here represents the SpeakIt app, and it's been added to your Chrome bar, and here are the settings for it. So you can decide how you want it to appear and sound. You can change the voices. So mine's set to female. It's there's a test right here, so you can click this and it'll test it out for you. There's a keyboard shortcut. You can do Control-Shift-S, so you can highlight and do the shortcut. So these are just the settings. So now that I have it, let's see how it works. So if I go to a website, so let's say we're learning about whales, and there's a lot of information about whales. So I can click on any website. This also works in your Google Docs. So extensions can be used in Google Docs. So if you write, say, a 4-paragraph essay and you want to hear how it sounds, you can highlight it, click this icon, and listen to it. Sometimes we catch mistakes in our writing by listening. So here's our text. I highlight it, and then I come over here and click this icon, and this opens up.
Whales belong to the order Cetacea, which includes whales, dolphins, and porpoises. Whales are divided into two suborders, baleen and toothed whales.
And
baleen
to
whales.
pause it, I press that, and then I can go back to it if I need to. And to stop altogether, I press the stop sign. So those are extensions, and you can see here I have several of them. If you want to manage your extensions, you want to get rid of one, all you have to do is click on this little hot dog bar here and more tools, and then you have access to all of your extensions. So more tools, extensions, and this is where you can monitor them. So here's where Clearly's been added, Nearly Bookmarks. These are all the extensions that I have up here on my browser bar. So again, your teachers will tell you what extensions they want you to add, and I think you're going to find it very, very useful.